town, and so it is just the pro tem and myself. So with that, welcome to the agenda meeting for our agenda that's going to be on Wednesday, December 6th next week.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. We'll have Nicole start us up with county announcements.
Hi, Nicole.
Good morning. We will have a gentleman from Sedgwick County Fire here to talk about Battle of the Badges that will be kicking off this month. There's also a mental health hospital town hall that'll be on December 14th at the Metroplex. So we will be talking about that as well. And that's all I have. Is it December 12th? I'm sorry, December 12th. Apologies. Tuesday, December 12th. I don't know why the 14th is in my head.
We have one proclamation under item C, Medical Loan Closet Appreciation Week. And then a series of appointments, items D, E, F, G, and H are all appointments to various boards. And of course, KAC is going on next week. We tried to keep the agenda as short as we could, and that never works. So we have quite a few pieces of new business and a number of consent items. Item I is public hearing for a special assessment for internal improvement projects in the county. That's Gartham is going to be our bond counsel. I don't know if Lindsay's here if you have questions on that. There's a donation acceptance for corrections under item J. And then we get into some issues that might take a bit of time. Item K is a zoning code regulation table change, which you've all been briefed on. I don't think that will be that long. But item L is a conditional use request that we might have some public come in to speak to. And I don't know if Scott, if you have questions, I think you've already been briefed by Scott, but you can, he's here to ask questions.
I don't have any questions right now on that.
I don't either.
I know it could be a longer discussion.
There's information coming in daily, kind of new information, or
Not so much at this point, but good question.
All right. Well, we'll know more by Wednesday. Okay. Thank you.
Item N, we have reached a point where we can discuss publicly now the strategic plan for the opioid settlement fund. I'll have a presentation on that, and Tanya will be there also if there's questions. And then Tanya will also present under item N a real estate purchase agreement for CommCare Crisis on the South Topeka site, close to where Biomed is going. She will talk about. And then boards of bids and contracts. Under consent, item P is a vacation request for properties, small piece of property down at 231st Street West and 55th South for it's a gentleman or a person wants to build a 30 by 50 detached garage along an existing diagonal driveway. So there's a vacation request for that. Item Q is a zone request change from rural residential to GC in the area of 143rd East and 117th North. That's to accommodate a welding and machine shop project up there. Item R, and we have a series of public works items, RS and T, that Lynn's here to, if there's questions. R is a professional engineering agreement with MKEC for drainage improvements within the Rachel Brooks Estates, and as is item S. This was an action, a benefit district created by the commission at our September 6th meeting. And this is the contract with MKEC for the work there. And Lynn, is anything that you want to add to that, or?
I think you covered it well. That's exactly what it is.
That's R and S, and then we get to T is a funding agreement for with KDOT for construction of a bike path in the area of Eisenhower School and Maple. And this is an agreement that was made through WAMPO. That's actually at 183rd West and a connector to the Eisenhower School Complex. KDOT will reimburse us up to 80%, or up to 1.28 million for this project, and then we'd be responsible for the rest. Okay.
How long is that bike path?
The bike path is going to be about a little over 1.5 miles. It actually goes from 183rd over to 167th down to Eisenhower, and then about a little less than a 1/4 mile to the east toward Pike Addition, a large subdivision on Maple Street.
Okay, I just trying to compare to a mile of paving a road versus a mile of bike path costs.
Not quite up there with the.
I know, I get it. I get it. Okay, you don't have curb and gutter on the bike path, do you?
Not this time.
Okay.
Item U is our annual agreement with KPTS for continued services, and the rates are part of the agenda item. V is it's again an annual contractual affiliation agreement with the 6 providers for CDDO, and they are this is our Ability Point, Arrowhead West, Rainbows, Catch, Starkey, and Goodwill contracts on page 247 of your backup if you want to look into the numbers. W is an item to change bylaws for the Sedgwick County Intellectual and Development Disabilities Advisory Board. Some relatively minor adjustments to their executive committee. For example, they've eliminated a treasurer. They're going to double the time that their chairman serves, and they're going to alter their meeting frequencies. So the items are in the agenda backup. X is a request for Brandy Bailey, who is our treasurer, to double fill a chief deputy position within her shop. Randy Bardale, her chief deputy, is apprised her of his he wants to retire sometime in 2024. So we want to double fill that so this new person can go through the mail out process both now and in the spring, and then he or she will be up to speed.
Manager, on this particular one, it talks about the higher above grade minimum, which is a little bit different than double fill. Does each one of those need to have its own consideration?
That's a good question.
The double fill has been approved by the manager for 6
That's
months.
not what this is then.
This is for above grade.
It's above.
I may have some questions on that one. So again, I'd like to have some data as to why. Is it necessary? We'll talk later, but I'm not sure that I agree with that one yet. So
All right, very good. Item Y is a series of reclasses for Register of Deeds, Election Commissioner, County Clerk, and Sheriff. And Sheena's here if you have questions on specifics there. All of the classifications together, all the reclasses together, have a fiscal note of just under 25,000. Z is the sheriff's request to reclassify 2 of his positions. One is to move an admin support position to a property technician. And the second is to move a detention deputy to an assistant range master position. The fiscal cost for the first, the admin support to the property technician has a fiscal cost of a little over $4,000 for 2024. And the detention deputy to range master has a fiscal cost of just short of $18,000 in the 2024 budget. Item AA is an item that we talked about in a staff meeting a few weeks ago with EMS. Chief Lannerman wants to retain 1 ambulance in his fleet as reserve. The fiscal note on that is $6,300 for equipment and accessories. AB was also talked about at that same staff meeting, which is an amendment to the employee agreement template for EMS EMT to paramedic plan. And then item AC is a request, again, EMS, a request for transfer of budget authority from personnel to contractual commodities to help cover increasing costs of medical supplies and medications. The chief was here earlier, so I'm not, he's not in the room. He's back. Okay. EMS is here. Brian's here if you have questions.
Do we still provide the medical supplies to fire departments around the county?
Good morning, Brian Nicholas, EMS Deputy Chief. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do we still provide the medical supplies for the fire departments around the county?
We do, yes, we certainly do.
Is that just a choice we make, or is there some type of is that an agreement that we've already? I mean, what's the legal side of that? What's causing us to do that?
Well, it's been an agreement that we've had for years and years and years. I believe the philosophy behind it is that EMS is the only agency that can actually bill for the service. And so, we have the ability to recoup some of the cost. And so that was just the arrangement that was made because, none of the fire departments or anything can do that. And, the medical supplies are used on our populations of patients, obviously, and whether they're actually carried on the ambulance or the fire department or whichever vehicle, has those supplies. They still serve that population of patients. And I think that was the logic. And I know there's been a lot of debate because it is a considerable cost, when gloves and oxygen and all the disposable supplies. So, it's definitely something we could talk about, but it's been longstanding practice.
Has Wichita started their EMT response program? Is it up and going?
I don't know. I might defer to Kevin on that. I'm not sure the exact status of that.
And again, so I guess my thought is if that's happening and we're just giving them supplies to do that program, I guess I'd like to be aware of that.
Sure.
Morning, Commissioner Chairman. They have not started that program yet. And the startup costs, from what I understand, all the equipment that they need to start that, they are purchasing on their own to start the program. And then it would be part of that reimbursement. As it's used, we would reimburse it back to them for the patients that we transport.
So we're not going to provide them a base level of medical supplies that we would normally provide to other fire units. They're not going to get a base supply from us.
They probably use the equipment as far as the supplies that they have, they would probably use that. But as far as like AEDs, more expensive equipment like that, they are purchasing those into the system. So,
all right. Thank you.
And the rest of the items are routine business, cereal malt beverage applications, and general bill check registers, et cetera. So that's it for this agenda. No executive session that I think we know of, and no fire agenda.
Well, Manager, yesterday you and I spoke a little bit about this discussion that there's been a request for an investigation that's going to have a financial component to it if we go down that road. Are we going to wait until this 911 advisory council does their work before we actually have a consideration for some funding for an outside audit of what happened on the call that's been in the news last few days? Are we do that? Is that something we can do sooner than later, or we need to wait till that council does their work on?
Well, I think that's the will of the commission. I do know that the sheriff has called, and I don't know that it's actually scheduled yet, but he's calling for an emergency meeting of the 911 advisory board. Either Monday or Tuesday next week. I think they were trying to look at calendars. I know this will be discussed at that meeting, and depending on what happens there, it's the will of the commission, how you want to move forward with.
That'll happen before our Wednesday meeting.
It should, yes.
I'll just state this. I would not say that an off agenda item may not be necessary in that case.
Okay.
If that meeting comes out and we believe that this audit of that response from both 911 and everybody else on the scene, including fire, if that audit needs to happen from a third party national investigator, if you will come in and find out what happened, what was right and what was what opportunities are there needed for improvements. I want to get that moving as quickly as possible. So I guess I don't know if there's a charter exemption for this type of thing, Charter 68. I don't know what we need to do, but I would like to see us lean forward, if you will, and expedite that process if we need to do so.
Okay, I might let Lindsay address the acquisition question.
So commissioners, there are a couple exceptions that potentially could apply to the competitive solicitation portion of the charter. So for example, public exigency or even emergency based on the, I guess, concerns that are being raised at a community level. Typically, we would still want that to go through the bid board process and to the commission. There would be, depending on the cost, there would be some informal quotes that we're required to get. And because it's a charter, there's really not a lot of option for commissioners to waive those rules. But we could certainly get started on a process to get those quotes and get it started through a process. It could skip bid board and come directly to the commission. That's allowable. But the kind of the process of going through and trying to find quotes is not something we
Maybe what we got to do on Wednesday potentially is an off agenda discussion.
Sure.
It might be a receive and file discussion, but if there's anything we can do that anticipates a need for us to go down that path, if there's a way we can trim a week or two off this thing by leaning forward even this week. I know today's Friday, but between now and Wednesday, if there's a way to find out, here's kind of the options out there in the nation that we might want to, get some, ask them to weigh in on what these things would cost, that type of thing. What's the timeline look like? Is this a 4-week investigation or is this a 6-month investigation? I would love to know some details. If this conversation happens Wednesday, I would like to know if we have ability to actually understand maybe what this process would look like and how much it would cost and how long it would take.
Yeah, you can certainly direct staff to do that work and we can do that and then come back to you. You could also authorize budget authority, a transfer of contingency budget authority and whatever amount is needed so that that process can be expedited too.
So that conversation may happen Wednesday. I would love to give our 911 group time to give us their thoughts through whatever decisions they want to make in terms of advisory to us. But I anticipate potentially a discussion Wednesday on this topic.
Very good, sir. Okay.
The other thing, maybe I'll just take everybody's feeling, the great progress with the homeless task force. I don't know if that would be something worth mentioning at the beginning under the Nicole, just an update of. I don't know for sure if you feel comfortable.
I would love to have that again, because we have a short timeline. I think that the community needs to be aware of what we're doing and actually maybe that message to get out through news media or however we get it out to people who might want to lend us their formal support for our action and going to the state the way we are. So that'd be great. Good idea.
Okay. All right.
We might actually just make that a new business item and we could do a presentation. Let me talk with Nicole after the meeting. We'll figure out how to put that into the meeting.
That would be good.
Yeah, because in a way we should formally vote anyway.
And besides, by having it on the agenda that way, people know that if they want to come and speak to it, they can anticipate actually knowing it's going to be on the agenda for sure. That'd be great.
Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody? Okay. Mike, thanks for the email on the update about the state confusion. I forgot to remind me seeing you. I owe somebody a response, but thanks for your information. It's very helpful. So,
Chairman, as I think about this, Manager, your point is well taken on that. Having that added to the agenda, would it be reasonable to add an item of discussion about whatever the advisory board comes up with? Do we want to have just an item on the agenda to say we're going to talk about what they talked about? We'll get information from them. We don't want to just add this to the agenda so we can actually intentionally make sure this is, again, known on the agenda that we're going to talk about this based on.
I was thinking about that also. My preference would be to put it on the agenda. And if there's nothing to report, then you guys can simply wave it off the agenda.
I would like it that
it's a
way.
placeholder at least.
Sure.
Probably. I agree.
Would that be okay, Chairman?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Everybody? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a safe weekend.